Previously on Libel the Bible.
Yahweh creates everything and everyone.
Yahweh hates everything and everyone.
Yahweh kills everything and everyone.
Yahweh chooses a man whose bloodline he'll torment for hundreds of generations.
Yahweh sends these people into the heart of enemy territory.
Unsurprisingly, they're enslaved for hundreds of years as a result.
Yahweh genocides Egyptian children.
And kills a lot of Egyptian adults for good measure.
And a lot of Israelites with the whole earth-swallowing trick.
Yahweh gives the Israelites a bunch of rules about sex, and donkeys, and clothing.
Yahweh forces the Israelites to attack sovereign city-states.
And slaughter the men, and rape and enslave the women and children.
Yahweh warns about worshiping anyone other than him.
Moses gives an extended TED Talk and dies.
But not before introducing Joshua as the man who will lead the Israelites into the Promised Land.
And now, the book of Joshua. All right, we're recording.
What's up? I'm Scott.
I'm Rusty.
Always Scooby-Doo, never Scooby-Don't.
Yeah, for some reason your levels are like really high right
Really?
now.
I'm pretty far from the mic.
Yeah, that's all right. That's good. That's better.
better?
That's perfect. Yeah.
All right. This is further than I'm ever from the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how's it going?
It's going well, man. I got to say, I'm a little excited about this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I didn't get that feeling like in the pre-production.
I'm excited to be away from Moses. I'm really fucking excited to be done with that shit, man.
Well, I mean, he's the one that wrote the first 5 books of the Bible.
Oh, now we're saying he wrote them?
Well, who's we? Who's we?
Me and you. Well, everybody. Is the world saying Moses wrote that shit?
Well, I don't know if the world is saying it. I don't know if some Yemeni, is saying it. If some Senegalese person is saying it. But people who are into the Old Testament say it. That is Moses. So when he talks about the law at the very end before Jacob takes over, or whoever's taking over, Joshua. We're doing the book of Joshua today.
Okay.
Before Joshua takes over, Moses, he's like, these laws, these words. He's talking about the whole, all 5 books that he wrote, apparently.
All right.
I mean, 40 years in, the wilderness, you would think he would have time to write things down. He's had his conversations.
And he should be in really good shape the way Yahweh made him go up and down that mountain so many fucking times.
I mean, that's exactly. So Yahweh was probably dictating to him, his life story.
Did we say this is libel to Bible?
I'm Rusty.
All right, I think we're covered now. I said it why it was. We don't want to jinx the whole fucking thing.
Whatever. I mean, we're out of the Old Testament now, so it's new rules.
Not out of the Old Testament.
I'm sorry, you're right. Out of the first 5 books, the Pentateuch.
So let me ask you this. Do you think, now that we've covered the Pentateuch, was I harsh on Moses? Considering how, he's revered, apparently, for people that follow the Torah, was I harsh on someone's, idol?
I think that you definitely... I don't know. I think you took, an interest in going off on Moses more than other people that deserved it. It was just weird to me how Moses activated your rage.
Well, I think maybe because Moses was in power. I'm not going to pick on the guy that, committed, adultery. He's got no power. Moses is, in charge. He needs to act a certain way.
But Moses wasn't in power.
He was as in power as anybody else in this congregation. Who was more power than him?
I think he was just a puppet of Yahweh, right?
So
he was born not in power, but he was found by Pharaoh's daughter or whatever and raised in, the castle. But eventually, he ran away. So, we don't know anything about his life in the palace. We only know about his post-palace life after he murdered those Egyptians.
So one might say...
And that was all in servitude to Yahweh.
Right, so
he even told Yahweh, yo, man, I'm not a good representative. I'm not a good talker.
All right, so he was born dirt poor, but was taken into the palace immediately, like when he was a newborn. So he never experienced that life.
That's true.
So he came up in a life of privilege.
But It seems like... Okay, go ahead.
Saw that his people, his true people, were being treated poorly. So I can kind of respect him now looking back that he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know I was privileged, but I'm in a position where I can maybe help my true people. I mean, he started off badly, and he did some fucked up shit, but I'm just, was I too harsh?
So in the TV, like in the movie, not the TV movie, but the movie that's on TV every year with Charlton Heston, it seems like Moses knew that he was somehow like an Israelite. So the assumption being like the woman who raised him told him like, you know, I found you in a basket and like you come from the Israelites. You come from a slave like background. So the assumption is he knew what his, you know, background was.
Yeah, I want somebody that's real deep into Moses, that the foundation of their religion, to talk to me about like how they feel about Moses. Because maybe I was a little harsh.
Well, Moses is he's the most important, like, prophet. He even says it at the end of the book, which is funny because if Moses wrote the books, right, the very last part of, like, the closing of, what do you call it? The closing of the Pentateuch is literally like, yeah, I'm going to read it. All right. Okay. We're Deuteronomy 34. This is the very last 3 verses of the Jewish, the Torah. Okay. This is the last 3 verses of the Torah, which Moses wrote. Never since has there arisen a prophet in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. He was unequaled for all the signs and wonders that the Lord sent him to perform in the land of Egypt against Pharaoh and all his servants and his entire land. And for all the mighty deeds and all the terrifying displays of power that Moses performed in the sight of all Israel. I mean, listen, I get it. Like, Yahweh fucked him over. He's not going to let him see the promised land. Give him, like, throw him a bone, you know? So, like, his bone is, like, at the very end of the Torah. We're told that this guy is the top of the fucking prophets.
I feel like I totally, when you were reading it, I just totally saw Donald Trump in you. Like, everybody told me I'm the best prophet. There's never been a prophet since.
Never since has there arisen a prophet in Israel like Moses. That's me. Whom the Lord knew face to face.
All right, so I don't know.
He was unequaled.
I just think if somebody listened to a year of this and then saw me on the street, they might throw sandals or something at me because I disrespected Moses. And I just want to say, you know, I'm open to conversations with people that are very pro-Moses.
So I'm going to say this. You don't like Moses because he's a murderer, basically.
I mean, that's how we started this.
Okay.
First impressions go a long way.
I would suggest to you that he has paid the price, right, for those murders. Like, he existed in his own, like, prison of debt.
Well, is he responsible for all the murders the rest of the Israelites committed under his watch? You know what? I think I'm going to go back to, like, no, fuck him, man. I don't think I'm going to, I don't think I just...
He's doing Yahweh's, like, bidding.
All right. Okay.
And I think today...
Just following orders. We know where that comes from.
Well, so that's another thing. Like, is Moses a con artist, right? Him and Aaron, because we did have those conversations that they're con artists. So if he's a con artist, then you can say, like, Moses is a big piece of shit. If Yahweh is this all-powerful alien, right, as we have been positing, which is a fun, like, thought exercise, then can you blame Moses for anything, really? Except the murders.
Listen, I guess not. And if you're weak and you're simple and somebody really powerful tells you to murder like 24,000 people by shoving a javelin up through their ass, I guess you have no choice but to do it.
Well, Moses told them to shove a javelin up the ass?
Well, God didn't speak directly to all the people doing it. I'm sure there was a fucking chain of command.
Right.
So, and he's the top of that chain, second to the top.
Okay. I mean, listen.
I don't know. I'm torn.
Listen, far be it from me to tell you not to be enraged by anything. You know, God knows that I'm enraged by plenty.
I just don't want a very large percentage of the Earth's population to be like really mad at me for feeling this way.
All right. I mean, But again, I'm having a difficult time understanding why, outside of that initial murder, I'm trying to remember or recall why, like, you have this strong feeling for Moses. Is it because, like, he is so important to the Jewish people that you hate him? I mean, I can't think of anything else.
Yes, that's why. No, because I feel like you're responsible for the atrocities committed for those that serve under you. So if he's the
So,
head
like, all the
honcho,
terrible things that happen,
he's
like,
responsible.
not Yahweh. Again, so
Yeah, it's hard, it's
again,
hard.
we've gotten into a situation where you just, like, gloss over what Yahweh does.
That's fine. I think I think maybe he's been a tragic figure. I think I've touched on that a little bit. So, all right, how about this? I end with this, and it's open to be reevaluated. Moses is a piece of shit with an asterisk next to it.
What's the asterisk?
He was under Yahweh's fucking control. There's not much he could have done about it.
He was just following orders.
I don't want to say it that way because that might just make people have to look in a mirror once in a while.
All right. So Moses, in Scott's eyes, is sus. He's sus.
I hate that. I don't know why I hate
he's
sus.
sketchy.
I hate sus too.
He's
Yo.
sketchy. Yes.
Tyree Nichols.
All right. Yes.
Does the police commissioner in charge of those 5 cops should get fired as well?
Why?
I started it off as a question, then kind of morphed it into a statement. I don't know. Should the police commissioner, by my logic, that Moses is guilty for everything that happened underneath him, is the police commissioner in Memphis responsible for the conduct of all his cops beneath him?
It's a false equivalency because
Probably.
Moses directly addressed the Israelites and told them, you're going to invade the city. You're going to go and decimate like every 10th man. You know what I mean? The police commissioner didn't like give a
Right.
speech to that
Fair enough.
squad telling them like beat down like every, it was just unspoken because they're cops and that's what cops do.
Right. All right. So, yeah, false equivalency, yes. So the police commissioner should not get fired for that. Fine. Fair enough.
I mean, she should probably get fired for something else shady that she did because she's the police commissioner. And I can't imagine her becoming police commissioner without having done like a bunch of shady shit to like climb the ranks. So.
Maybe she just worked hard, man.
No, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe anybody in positions of municipal power has gotten there through sheer merit alone. Because
Yeah,
I
I
don't
would
think
think
we
not.
live in that kind of society.
No, we don't. Because if you have that much merit, there are forces that will band together to knock you the fuck down.
100%.
Because they don't have that force of merit as well.
We are not a
they have to-
meritocracy.
Yeah.
Right.
They're going to cut your legs right
We
off
are
on
an
you.
oligarchy.
Yeah.
And people who serve the financial interests the best are the ones who will be elevated above anyone else. So let's be real about that.
Yeah.
So, by the way, so I know we started talking about the Bible immediately, which we usually don't do.
Yeah, we don't do that.
But it was good because we did close out the Torah the last time, so it's good to like reflect on Moses. Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I did that. I've tried not to do that. I've gotten better.
Well, what?
But no. Finish what you're saying. Unless
I was just gonna thank you. We went out to
right up until I interrupted you.
we went out to dinner yesterday.
We did.
It was you and I and our wives and my son. We went to Hot Pot. You tried it for the first time, and you graciously paid. You covered the tab for all of us.
There was
That
a
was
reason why.
that was very nice.
It was about guilt, man.
Well, it's nice that you are human enough to feel guilt. Right. So either way, it was a nice gesture.
So Rusty had pointed out on a previous episode that I was his only friend that forgot to send him a text message on his 50th birthday.
I was angling for dinner.
And it's absolutely true. So my guilt was, it was a joint thing too. It was also your wife's 50th birthday, right?
No, not 50th. She's not 50.
Oh, right. She's 19 now.
She's
right?
much younger than I am. She turned 45.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have paid for that dinner. I thought it was a monumental birthday for her too.
45? I mean, that's all right. That's a nice round number.
Whatever. It's hardly a speed limit anyway, that number. 45.
Well, it's faster than people drive on my way here. I'll tell you that.
The only 45 worth anything was the 45th president, man.
The best. Ask anybody.
Ask anybody. Yeah, so we went to Hot Pot. That was a nice experience. Anytime you get to pay to like cook your own meal and gather your own vegetables and meat and do all the work yourself, it's a good time. It's definitely well worth
It's
the
like
money.
it's like one of those like you pay to like paint.
Yeah.
But this is like you pay to make soup.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm very surprised they trust that many average people with like a pot of boiling water in front of them that they can completely control the temperature.
Yeah,
it's quite
there's
scary.
kids sitting there.
Yeah, it's quite scary.
I mean, we all have one, right? Like we have a kitchen. Every person has a. Excuse me. Every person has a kitchen.
I guess, but you wouldn't let 100 randos in your kitchen to do stuff.
That's true.
Yeah,
Well, I would if they paid me. Like, yeah.
I wonder what the insurance for a place like that is. Let me get this straight. You have a bunch of dumbasses with boiling water in front of them. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's like different kinds. It's called hot pot, shabu shabu. That was like a Japanese style one that we went to. But there's like Chinese style shabu shabu where everybody like shares the same like pot. I forgot what that's called. That's called home style, I think, when like everybody eats like you all order the same thing. So there's like restaurants in the Bronx, Italian place, I think Mario's, where like you don't order individually. Like you order family style. That's what it's called, family style. Yeah. And then today I heard you went to Luger's, which is like one of the, I'd say, what do we say about Luger's in terms of steakhouses? One of the cornerstone steakhouses.
Yeah, it's world famous. It's 125
It just lost its
years.
Michelin star.
I heard they got pretty bad ratings. Yeah, they're...
Someone in like the New York Times like a year or so ago, like, you know, in order to like get clicks, like publish like an article how it's like, it's overrated, blah, blah, blah.
Dude,
how was it? How was the steak today?
Fantastic. The steak's always fantastic. There's no arguing with that. But as far as, I can see where it's overrated. I think what's happened, like when did you start going to Luger's? 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Right? So in the 30 years...
But the place has been around for
125.
over 100 years, yes.
Yeah. So I think, especially in that area, that neighborhood, for people that aren't familiar with New York City, wasn't the best neighborhood in the world. So that neighborhood has gentrified quite a bit, and there are so many choices there now. There's so many good restaurants, like within walking distance of Peter Luger's. I just think steak's a very bland option, I think. You know, it's not, I don't know.
Even a Luger steak is a bland
steak,
option.
Listen, man. Unless they're buying, like, special cows... All these steakhouses, I'm sure, are getting, like, steak from the same places.
But it's not the steak from the same place. It's like they age their steak. They have a certain, like, rub. Like, their ovens that they use to cook. There's something to be said for an oven that's been making the same thing and accumulating, like, you know, that juju. Whatever it is, that mojo.
All right. Maybe. I don't know. Listen, it was delicious. Don't get me wrong.
And I don't think it's overpriced.
I was just going to say, as far as steakhouse prices,
yeah. What's a steak for two?
It's probably medium. Steak for two is probably...
What is it, like $80-$90 for steak for two now?
So we did steak for 5. So it was... Like steak for 3 was like $2.18, I think. So yeah, maybe like 2 would be like around there, 80. No,
whatever. Yeah.
Listen, I've gone to much more expensive steakhouses. So no, the price for what you're getting is probably middle of the road.
All right.
So that was and to be at a steakhouse at 11:45 in the morning, like as it opens,
and that's a quick turnaround because we left Hot Pot last night where you filled up on like soup.
Yeah,
we left there like after 9 o'clock, and then like a little over like 12 hours later, you're like pounding down steak.
Yeah, and the bacon, the bacon at Luger's, it's like literally the thickness of your cell phone with the case on, So it was good. And it was funny, I was talking to people at the restaurant, the people I was with, not just randos.
How many people were there?
5 adults.
Okay.
2 kids. Talking about how I went to Hot Pot. And one of the girls I was with is Japanese, and I think the other one might be Japanese as well, I'm not sure. And they were talking. I described the restaurant. And they were like both kind of surprised at the size I was describing of the restaurant, because the one girl was like, "Oh, I go to much smaller hot pots." Mm-hmm. So I was like, "Oh, that's the only place I've ever been." So I don't think she was familiar with that type. She was wondering if that's more of a Korean style.
No, it was Japanese style.
Yeah, that's what I tell you. I don't know. Well, she says most places she goes to are much smaller.
So I got to tell you, I'm really fucking pissed off right now. So I don't know. You remember about a month and a half ago, I fucked up like my forearm playing hockey.
Oh, yeah.
And I told you like it was all sore. Well, it was my whole forearm.
Oh, okay.
And I had a jar of pickles in my refrigerator that I couldn't open because I couldn't grip the jar with my left hand. Really? Like I couldn't grip it tight enough to twist with my right hand.
Right.
Because I was in pain. And then like a week or so ago, like I was okay again. And then today I went to play hockey again. And again, I went down and I fell on the same fucking like hand. And again, like my whole fucking forearm is like throbbing again. You know, so it's like I didn't break anything. I don't think it's ligament damage, but I'm definitely like bruising the muscle or something's bruised. And now it's like I can't like go down. Like it hurts, like my forearm hurts when I try to put my hand like down. So the point is I'm like really fucking angry because I just got over this fucking injury from hockey. And now today I was playing hockey. Like I played hockey like in the month and a half since I hurt myself, but I wasn't really able to like stick handle. I wasn't really able to like do anything with the puck. So today I was like playing and I fucking fell again, and I'm so fucking angry. It's like, what the fuck do I need this bullshit for? You know what I'm saying? Fuck hockey.
And what sucks is you probably weren't fully healed, and now you just made it worse, and it's going to probably take even longer to heal than the first time. So let me ask you this. Not knowing like what you do with your left hand in hockey, is there some sort of brace you can wear? Like when I used to rollerblade and I was pretty clumsy, it was like a brace with a metal on it. So if you fell, you almost had like a metal thing. Your wrist could not bend back with this brace.
Yeah, you can't do that for hockey because hockey's about like wrist shots and like having wrist mobility. No, the problem is that I'm like 50, and when I fall now, I fall like a ton of bricks, and I fall out of nowhere. So everything happens like really quick. Yeah, you know, and like I'm just falling improperly.
What about elbow pads? Maybe you can train yourself to, instead of putting your hands out, you just drop onto your elbows.
So that's what everybody said. But the way my body was positioned like today, there was no elbow pads would not have helped. Like my body landed on top of like my hand, basically.
So I woke up this morning, went out and got fat, and you went out and got hurt.
I fucking hate it.
Who's got better life choices, me or you?
You. I don't know what to tell you. You. I'm fuck hockey, man. Fuck that shit.
So is it just because you're not that good of a skater yet, or anymore?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things. Like it's my skating ability, coupled with just the fact that like every once in a while you're gonna take like a tumble, and it seems like every time I take a tumble at this point, like it's a catastrophe.
It was suggested last night that you and an adult male friend were going to team up and go against your wife and your 7-year-old, and now you broke your arm.
Oh, my God.
Hope it didn't work out that way, man. Hope it was fair.
So he was there. So then another man showed up with his son, wound up like this guy is 49 years old, like a year younger than me. He grew up in Ozone Park. He played at 60. Okay. With like when Joe and I were playing there, like he would play there. So it's like, yeah, all these like guys are showing up to the rink, and I'm sure like I had run into them in the past somehow, like in hockey.
Do you think it's your milkshake bringing them all to the yard?
Oh, 100%. 100% my milkshake. So you want to get into Joshua?
Nah, this is more fun.
Yeah, you want to talk about bullshit, like busting on me for like injuries? Yeah. By the way, I would highly recommend for anybody who is skating or wants to skate or wants to start playing hockey or whatever, the pants I'm wearing right now, these are scrubs. I got a pair of scrubs, like hospital scrubs. They are the fucking shit. I'm going to get myself like 2 or 3 more pairs of scrubs just to hang out in the house. Because like I wear like, like you wear like those like pants in the winter, those, I don't know, like whatever, cotton pants that you just like lounge around your house in.
Like sweatpants?
Like sort of like sweatpants, but not sweatpants. But like pajama bottom pants, kind of.
So what do you raid the linen closets when you're in hospitals? Like where'd you get scrubs from?
I ordered them from Amazon. These are so goddamn fucking comfortable. And they're not like those like blue scrubs, that like you see like they're black so you can't even tell they're scrubs. They're like, they sell like cargo scrubs. Bottom line is these are fucking fantastic as an alternative to like very expensive hockey pants. Because like anytime something is like hockey this or hockey that, like the price is like 3 times more than it should be. Yeah. Because what are you going to do? Oh, you want hockey skates? Oh, yeah, sure. Oh no, don't get these like inline skates. Get these hockey skates that are like 3 times more. I mean, it's understandable because like, you want protection. So like hockey skates are harder than like inline skates off the puck or like a stick or whatever. But if you're like an old man like me who's no longer like playing games, you're just like looking to skate around, like you don't need like all that protective equipment. So if you're a casual player or a casual skater, or just, if you're just fat, if you've just eaten like hot pot and like Lugers and you just want to like bum around, these pants are the shit. They're Cherokee. I got them on Amazon. They were like $25.
Are you getting a commission for this, man?
They're awesome. No, this is a free commercial.
Usually when I play sports in hospital clothes, I like to choose like the backless robes they give you. I like to play.
That's good. I'm gonna next time. I mean, I can go straight from like the rink to the fucking hospital, because I'm hurt often enough. All right, so let's get into the book of Joshua, man.
Yeah,
we're out of the Torah. We're done with the Torah.
Hey,
oh, shalom, haba, nagila, haba, nagila, haba, nagila, hey, Ishmael.
Is that the words?
I don't know. No, probably not.
Yeah, you probably.
It's like, like when you say, it's like that episode of Family Guy when they're doing like the Christmas carols, but you don't really know the words of the Christmas carols. So you just start like either humming or making shit up. That's what I do.
Do people still do that? Go like door to door Christmas caroling?
Where I live, they did that. They gathered at Austin Ale House like this Christmas, and like they went around caroling.
That's funny. The neighborhood I grew up in, they have a historical society, and they got together. They were going to get together, but the weather was inclement. Like when they like
inclement,
not
inclement.
Amen. Amen.
Inclement.
It was inclement. Clement was there.
Who's Clement? And where in him was it?
Well, he had that backless robe on. All right.
So Joshua, do you remember who Joshua was?
He was Moses' right-hand man at the end.
Handpicked by Yahweh himself.
Well, that was nice of him to pick my subordinates.
Son of Nun.
Son of a nun. Son of a nun.
Son of Nun. So just before Moses died, he introduced Joshua to everybody and said, I'm about to die. This guy's going to take over, so listen to him. And Moses is now dead. And Yahweh speaks to the Israelites.
Yeah.
And he says, Moses is dead. And now you are going to cross the Jordan River into the land that, like, I'm promising you.
Before that
I'm sorry, happened, he didn't speak to the Israelites. My bad. He spoke to Joshua.
So I was just about to say, before he spoke to the Israelites, he spoke to Joshua and he said, as I was with Moses, so I will be with you.
I'm sorry, where are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Joshua 1, verse 5.
Oh, okay.
As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. And I'm thinking, if I'm Joshua, could you please let's not do it that way. Because I saw how you were with Moses. You fucked him.
No, absolutely. Like, as I was with Moses.
Like that's not...
until I denied him entry into the land of milk and honey.
Yeah, and taunted him with it. And then struck him dead on top of the mountain.
I also like the fact when he tells Joshua, he says, now proceed to cross the Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving to them. Right?
Yeah.
He's not really giving them anything.
Not.
They're going to have to like fight like wars. It's not like they're like walking into a land that's ready to give everything up to the Israelites.
So like I said, when the Egyptians ran, I said the Mexicans, the Israelites ran out of Egypt, giving Yahweh all the credit, I'm still thinking it was Moses' way of covering up that murder. So I think Yahweh's getting a lot of credit for shit he doesn't deserve.
So Moses, as a way to cover up his crime, led a mass exodus and invented Yahweh. Yes. Like, all of this is basically to cover up one murder. Yeah. Can you imagine if, like, all of, like, human history has been shaped by, like, some fucking scumbag's murder?
Yeah, ask about JFK. Why are we still talking about JFK, man? There's got to be some truth to that.
So then, of course, Yahweh tells Joshua, listen. Be courageous. Do not be afraid to be a boy lover. No, he tells him. It's like the voicemail left at NAMBLA, remember? When you call up NAMBLA, there's a voicemail, and it's like, you have reached NAMBLA, but we are not here. And for all of the gentlemen calling, do not despair, do not be afraid. One day your time will come. And then he's like, and to all the boys out there, one day our love will be understood.
I know nothing about the North American Man-Boy Love Association.
So Yahweh is telling Joshua,
Can we talk about NAMBLA just for a second?
okay.
So back in the day when I used to work for a large company and we were out in the field and we had beepers, you get strange beeps. And now you had to go find change. You had to go to the freaking the pay phone. And I would get, I'd be calling NAMBLA. Or like the gay man's health crisis, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who's fucking around? We get back to the office, and it was my fucking boss with his feet up, just fucking beeping people in the crew with like stupid phone numbers.
What an asshole.
Yeah, what a jerk off.
No wonder they were forced to like buy out people because they were losing money because like your asshole boss wasn't working. No wonder it was inefficient.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to get right back to the show, but before we do, we'd like to invite you to come visit our Patreon.
Each week, we discuss a new topic at the intersection of society and religion.
This week, we're discussing the NHL and its Pride Night debacles in Philadelphia and New York.
We focus on the debate between leftists and conservatives over what rights athletes and employees in general have to express their ideologies.
So, after this episode, head on over to patreon.com/Libel to Bible and join in the conversation.
So, Yahweh tells Joshua basically, look, as long as you follow all of the rules laid out by Moses, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? So, you're going to conquer this whole land only if you follow my rules, he tells him. So then that gets us to the preparations for the invasion. So Joshua, he goes to his people, he goes to the camp, he gets everybody like all set up, okay? And then specifically he goes to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and then the half tribe of Manasseh.
Was that the women?
The half tribe of Manasseh?
Was it, remember some women lost like all their men and they were like, it's not right that we lose our tribe status because and Yahweh was like, yeah, you're right, you don't. And I was wondering if that was the half tribe.
It's possible. I don't remember. We can look that up for sure. But my memory of like the Reubenites or the Gadites was that, remember like in an earlier invasion, Moses told them like, we're going to go fight. And they were like, yo, we'll fight in the vanguard, but in exchange, we want like this piece of like land. So whenever you need us to fight, we'll be up front, but you got to give us like this like farmland where we can rule ourselves. Yeah. So Joshua tells them in Joshua 1 verse 13, remember the word that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, saying, the Lord your God is providing you a place of rest and will give you this land. Your wives, your little ones, and your livestock shall remain in the land that Moses gave you beyond the Jordan. But all the warriors among you shall cross over armed before your kindred and shall help them.
You asked me how I go about highlighting stuff and everything. I actually highlighted this whole thing. I said, this is confusing wording. Let's discuss this. But we don't have to because now you reminded me that they were given that land outside of the Jordan.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they coming back?
So, so he's basically like, it's not Yahweh who's like giving them anything. Joshua looks like he's walking through the camp and like getting his army together in order to invade the people on the other side of the Jordan River.
And remember, this is the title of the section is called Preparations for the Invasion. So I want everybody to understand this is an invasion.
An invasion.
This is war.
Yes.
This is ugly.
Yes.
This isn't just like, we're coming because Yahweh said so and he's giving it to us. People are going to die.
I'm going to tell you this, though. I can justify this somewhat. So Yahweh, while he does open up the earth and swallow like Israelites, in their entirety every once in a while, the people of the land that they're about to go and fight, they sacrifice their kids to like Maal or whatever. Remember, like there was always like talk about the kids being sacrificed.
Talk.
So I feel like that's the justification for like this invasion. Like, oh, those people sacrifice their children.
That's propaganda, though, man.
God.
That's propaganda, man.
That the fact that they sacrifice their kids.
It's all hearsay.
No,
it's not
100%.
Yeah. So I understand, like we have to kill these people because they act so unjustly, but like I want to see evidence of this shit, man.
Oh yeah, you want to see evidence?
Like, what's Putin telling like the Russian army about the Ukrainians? Right? He's probably saying the same shit. Saying the same.
They are our people.
Yeah, they put their kids in blenders. Make smoothies out of them.
Nice. It was a cold winter. All right. So that gets us to Joshua 2. Spies sent to Jericho. What'd you think of this section, Scott?
Wait, just before we do this, before we get to this chapter, the Israelites respond to Joshua and they say, just as we obeyed Moses in all things, so we will obey you. And Joshua, I hope, was like, no. You got to do a little better than you did with Moses, with that golden calf incident and all that shit.
So, I'm going to say this. Usually you like delve into the minutia and you pick up like little minor crucial details. I'm going to say this. What I've noticed. So today we're going to do Joshua 1 through 3. Mm-hmm. And my takeaway from Joshua 1 through 3 is this. This is a new generation of Israelites. Remember? Yahweh said, all you motherfuckers that doubted me, that fucking complained about the manna that I gave you, complained, no, we don't have anything to drink, and no, you're not going to fucking make it into fucking the promised land. So this is like a new generation of Israelites, and none of them are like stiff-necked so far. Like none of them are providing none of them provided pushback on any of this, including Joshua. So if you recall, Yahweh comes to Moses and he's like, I want you to do like this, like right from the start. And Moses is like, well, I'm not a good speaker and blah, blah. You know, there's always like pushback from every single prophet that Yahweh spoke, going all the way back to Abraham.
Yeah.
Joshua doesn't seem to doubt him at all. Like Yahweh's like, yo, get the troops ready. Joshua's like, getting the troops ready. He goes to the troops. He's like, yo, we're going to do this. The troops are like, what up? Let's go. So far, in the first 3 chapters of the book of Joshua, it seems like they're primed.
And these new generation probably don't remember how the old generation fucked Moses. So in the end, they were probably very loyal to Moses.
No, they remember everything because Moses wrote the fucking Torah, man. They all study the Torah. They know their history.
All right. So these are much better stormtroopers in the first round.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So this is like the new order. So this is spies sent to Jericho. I got to tell you, right off the bat, bro.
I have a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions because these are some incompetent motherfucking spies, all right? All right? They're incompetent. So here's how it starts. Joshua 2, verse 1. Then Joshua, son of Nun, sent 2 men secretly from Shittim as spies, saying, go, view the land, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab and spent the night there. All right, so let's stop right there for a minute, okay? Because we're going to be stopping a lot. Now, remember, Moses sent spies previously to different parts of like the land. Remember? And they all came back and they were like, oh, there's like big armies there and this and that. And they whined and complained, right? Remember that? Okay.
Only like 1 or 2 of them complained out of like the 12 they sent.
But basically they like scared like a lot of the Israelites with what they found. Okay. These guys aren't going to do that. These guys eventually, they go, they're not going to do any of that. So that is, again, another example of how these Israelites are more like beefy than the other ones. All right, Scott. So what's the main question, though, in this particular part?
Well, here's the first thing. When I first read it, I was like, all right, they're going on a super dangerous mission. So did they decide to go get laid before they crossed the Jordan? And this is an Israeli whorehouse? But now I'm thinking, no, this is a whorehouse in Jericho. So that was my first question.
I see what you're saying.
Let me go get some before I go get killed in Jericho.
So it seems like, So Joshua tells them, yo, you're going to go on a spy mission, and they go and get, like, their noodles wet before they have to, like, go.
But then I realized it's much worse. Like, their first stop on their spy mission is to, go spy on the prostitutes?
They went and entered the house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab and spent the night there. I'm going to say this. It's not a terrible strategy, okay? Because you go to a whorehouse, you're going to run into like a lot of men from different backgrounds, and it's like you can keep your ear to the fucking grind, not your not the grindstone, your ear to the whatever, tracks, whatever. You're listening. Here's the problem, though.
It's the nose to the grindstone, I think.
Well, nose to the grindstone is like working hard, right? But ear to the whatever, I'm like keeping, to listen, to like be aware of things. So I'm mixing metaphors.
Ear to the ground, yeah.
Listen,
and
doesn't matter.
And the foreskin is got caught on the grindstone. That's caused the first circumcision, right?
Gross.
It's a grindstone accident.
Gross.
All right.
In the very next sentence, in the very next verse, the king of Jericho was told some Israelites have come here tonight to search out the land. Okay. What kind of fucking spies are these that show up the first night and their cover's blown?
Well, I was going to say...
Is it James Bond who's constantly advertising the fact that he's Bond, James Bond?
I actually asked these questions here in my notes, and I was like, all right, when you say going to a whorehouse actually isn't a bad idea, because if you're coming in to spy, you're the dregs of society go to whorehouses. No one's going to think you're a spy because you're just some dude trying to, if anything, you're laying low in a house of ill repute.
Ill repute.
So, who gave them up? Like, how does the king already know?
I think they're just, I don't know, they're incompetent. You think there's Israelites who are giving them up?
No, I don't think that at all.
You think the whore's giving them up?
I don't think that at all either. I'm going to get to that.
Okay. So you're wondering right now who gave them up?
Yeah, but I think I know what happened here.
You're going to explain later?
Yeah, I'll read the next verse. Verse 3. Mm-hmm. Then the king of Jericho sent orders to Rahab, bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out the land.
The whole land.
So their cover was blown in the whorehouse. Someone in the whorehouse found out who they were and got word to the king. Does that make sense?
Well, obviously.
Right. So now
you're saying it like it's a revelation. Yes.
So the woman decided to hide them because she feared what was coming.
So the hooker told the king I don't have them. They left. They went that way.
Yeah.
And the king's men, they go that way. But meanwhile, the Israelite spies are hiding on the roof of her house.
She's taking care of them.
Right. She's hid them.
So before they go to sleep,
I'm going to read this part.
Verse 8?
I'm going to read that whole section.
Yes, do.
All right. So Joshua 2, verse 8. Before they went to sleep, she came up to them on the roof and said to the men, I know that the Lord has given you... This is after she's already sent the men in the wrong direction, the king's men. Yes. Before they went to sleep, she came up to them on the roof and said to the men, I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that dread of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land melt in fear before you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. As soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no courage left in any of us because of you. The Lord your God is indeed God in heaven above and on earth below. Now then, since I have dealt kindly with you, swear to me by the Lord that you in turn will deal kindly with my family. Give me a sign of good faith that you will spare my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and deliver our lives from death. The men said to her, Our life for yours. If you do not tell this business of ours, then we will deal kindly and faithfully with you when the Lord gives us the land.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This is dirty, filthy sex talk of the day. I'm going to rewind to when you first started reading.
Please.
I know that the Lord has given you to the land, and the dread of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land will melt in fear before us. Picture this.
Before you.
Before you. So picture this. They're in a whorehouse, and they're saying, Who's gonna fall before us? Who? You,
Who's
right?
your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Who destroyed Sihon and Og? Who? You did. Oh, you're gonna destroy us utterly like you're destroying this ass.
Oh, so you think like this is where, oh God, you think that's where oh God came
Except
from?
she's bored. She's filing her nails. She's like, yeah, you're destroying us. You're melting our hearts. And they're saying this so loud that people overheard this. Who's gonna come into your land? Who's gonna fuck you hard? Yeah, you are. We're so scared of you. Other people in the next room heard this and they ran to the king. That's how they got given up. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying that the spies were laying pipe.
Yeah. And say, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? And
right.
you're fucking like, you're not fucking in an insulated room. You're fucking like your walls are made out of bamboo or whatever the fuck, flaxseed or something.
That's all very, very possible.
Yeah.
Here's my problem with this whole section. She's basically saying, we're fearful of you. We've heard of like how Yahweh, like what Yahweh did to the Egyptians and what you guys did to those kingdoms that, you fought because of Yahweh. He's on your side. We're all scared. We're this and that, okay? The whole land is like shaking. We're quaking. That contradicts the fact that the king has sent men to kill these spies. So, in other words, if they're so fearful of them and they're ready to lay down like the land and they're quaking in their boots, why is the king like actively seeking to kill these spies?
That's what I'm saying. It was just dude hitting that from behind going, who melted your heart? Who melted it? That's all that was, man. But here's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they just kill her instead of like, I guess what's right is right. She looked out for them. Like, I think it'd just be easy to, if you don't tell the king what we're doing, we'll let you and your family live. Like, why would you trust her?
Well, remember, it's only their first night there, and they've already been caught. They haven't spied on anything except like some pussy. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing they're spying on. So they still got to go like into the land. So she's like, I'll buy you some time if you promise us this. But what's weird is, so then they're like, okay, no problem. And then they give her like some overly detailed ways to get her family into her abode. Like, why can't she just open the door for her family? Why does she have to? What does she have to do? They have to, a crimson cord in the window.
Right. Well, the bottom line is she ends up lowering them to the ground through the curtain.
Okay.
And that was the crimson cord.
Okay.
So she just took that. Yeah. And they're basically saying, tie this to the window. We're going to go back and tell our invading army that if you see a window with a crimson cord, leave anybody in that house alone because she covered for us.
Okay.
So they're just saying, keep your people inside that house during the invasion because if they're outside, they're fair game. And I can't...
Are they saying any house with a crimson cord or just your house?
It's like a one-house Passover.
One house, right.
Yeah.
So anyone who's in your house, we're not going to fuck with them.
Right.
Right.
So just stay within the house.
But if they're out on the street, they're fair game.
Right, because you can't say, oh, I'm friends with the red crimson.
It's like the purge.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. It's just because you couldn't identify them.
Yeah.
You know what them Canaanites look alike.
So basically they agree. They're like, if you keep your mouth shut, you don't tell on us, we agree to do this.
After we leave, you know what I'm talking about.
And so I'm going to skip down to verse 23, unless you have any objections. And in verse 23, Joshua 2, it says, then the two men came down again from the hill country after the spies have done all their spying. Then the two men came down from the hill country. They're back in with the Israelites. They crossed over, came to Joshua, son of Nun, not to be confused with any other Joshua. Joshua, son of Nun, and told them all that happened to them. You think they told all that happened?
I'm going to say this.
They were like, yo, smell our fingers, man. Smell our fingers.
She says, go up into the hill country for 3 days.
Yeah.
After the 3 days, how is this prostitute so well versed on the search patterns of the authorities? Does she hide people a lot?
A smart prostitute hears a lot of things from a lot of people. You know what I mean? They learn a lot of things. And I've seen enough Game of Thrones to know, a smart hooker is a valuable, ally.
And, all right, so they did 3 days. And it seems like once they hide for 3 days, they go right home. So instead of hiding for 3 days...
I don't think they were hiding for 3 days. I think they left her establishment and went inland.
Okay.
And while they were inland for 3 days, they were gathering information.
Oh, because she did tell the authorities they went that way.
And then
but
they
actually
went the
that
other way, correct.
Right. Oh, okay.
There you go. So they said to Joshua, quote, "Truly the Lord has given all the land into our hands. Moreover, all the inhabitants of the land melt in fear before us." So this is a very different scouting mission than the one that they did earlier on with those other stiff-necked like fucking Israelites. So far, these people, they're fucking gung-ho. They're ready to invade.
I got a real problem with this intelligence gathering. Did Joshua ever say to them, oh, wait, so the whole land fears us? Their hearts melt? Where'd you get this information from? One prostitute you were fucking? Like, I guess the 3 days in the hill country, they found out more.
They got all their intel.
Right.
So they're good. I know you're skeptical. I know.
It would be really funny if they invaded all gung-ho and like 17 giants just smacked the whole congregation back to fuck.
I'm picking up on your whole pattern.
Yeah.
Yahweh, your God, your Christian fucking God, he's infallible. But these Jews, right, they're lying, they're crafty, they're not to be trusted. I see what you're doing, Scott. I have picked up on the pattern of thought.
I'm just saying you're going to gather intelligence should be more than just from a prostitute in a whorehouse.
That gets us to Joshua 3. Israel crosses the Jordan. So this is it. This is like what everything's been building up to, right? The land of milk and honey, the promised land. By the way, it's not the promise land, it's the promised land with a D, E-D, promised.
What did you say the first time?
Nothing, but I bet you a lot of people say the promise land when it's actually the promised, because Yahweh promised the land.
No, I think everybody thinks it's promised, but we just all talk.
You think so? You think everyone thinks
calm
it's
down,
promised?
buddy. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because people are so fucking brilliant. Why don't you tell me another story about like hanging out in a bar and like all the fucking scholars that you meet there?
I just think the promise land is just how we say it because we talk with the accents and whatever. I'm sure everybody, if they were writing down, they'd write prom. You know what? I take that back.
Yeah, I bet you people think it's promised land.
Oh, you said scholars.
Yeah.
I meant to say this. I got to break this down for you. Ready for this?
Yes.
Everybody knows my name is Scott. It's S-C-O-T-T. So you take the S-C, capital S, lowercase c, scholar. O, of, T, the, T, Torah. Scott is short for scholar of the Torah.
Oh, shit. That's like ladies love Cool J.
Yeah. What's up, S-C-O-T-T?
Oh, shit,
That's
yo.
right. Yeah.
I mean, we're in Queens. You want to form like a fucking hip-hop band?
No, I want to form a, I don't know, Torah Bob.
We could do like, like a Torah theme.
Nobody gets. I was born with that name.
Right.
I was born to do this.
Israel.
Think I'm gonna bomb a town. Get
down, farmers. All right.
And all the Reubenites go, what?
Scott.
Because the Reubenites were farmers.
I want to ask you a question. This is very, very serious.
Well, I'm a scholar of the
Torah.
Torah.
Very serious question. 2,000 cubits. What's 2,000 cubits?
Well, it's forearm to the thumb, right? Right?
Oh, you don't know? You didn't look this up?
No, we looked up cubit when they were building the Ark.
Right, but in this particular case...
Before you do that, can I tell a story about your son on the air?
Sure.
So we're at a restaurant yesterday, and you had to get up, and you got to go to a buffet line. And your son was preoccupied playing on a tablet, whatever he was doing, whatever 7-year-olds do.
8.
8. All right, sorry. And we get up and walk away, and we leave the kid there. And I was like, hey, Noah, if you're lucky, we'll come back. And your son turned to me and goes, if you're lucky, I'll let you on the ark.
Yeah.
That was a good Noah biblical joke, man. That's pretty funny. Witty, funny kid.
It's really funny when he does it to you because you only see him every once in a while. It's less funny when it's more snarky and he's doing it to us constantly about like normal shit. Yo, everything is a fucking struggle. Like, we are going out in the wintertime. Noah, put on your coat. I don't want to put on a coat. No, it's 20 degrees outside. Everything is a struggle. Everything is pushback. Everything is talking back. And I get it. He gets that from me. I get that. I get it. The problem is I'm like an adult and I've refined like when to do it. he's like clumsy about it. He doesn't know when to do it, so he's just constantly like being off-putting, as opposed to only every so often being off-putting.
So he's like you 5 years ago.
Oh, fucking cunt. All right.
Who melts your heart? Who melts it?
So, early in the morning, Joshua rose and set out from Shittim with all the Israelites, and they came to the Jordan. They camped there before crossing over. At the end of 3 days, the officers went through the camp and commanded the people, "When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God being carried by the Levitical priests, then you shall set out from your place. Follow it, so that you may know the way you should go, for you have not passed this way before. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, a distance of about 2,000 cubits. Do not come any nearer to it." Then Joshua said to the people, "Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you." To the priests, Joshua said, "Take up the ark of the covenant and pass on in front of the people." So they took up the ark of the covenant and went in front of the people.
Yeah, so I'm going to say this. When he said follow it so that you may know the way you should go, for you have not passed this way before, my note here is follow it, you libtard sheep.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because you seem to complain about the Israelites no matter what they do. You complain if they're stiff-necked and do what they want to do. Now you're complaining that they're sheep when they're following orders. So which is it, Scott? How can an Israelite win in your eyes? By following orders or not following orders?
Everything they're doing is wrong.
Everything.
Everything, because when they're following orders, they shouldn't be. And when they aren't following orders, they should be. That's just the way it works, man.
Okay. The Lord said to Joshua, "This day I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, so that they may know that I will be with you as I was with Moses." Except when I wasn't. "You are the one who shall command the priests who bear the ark of the covenant. When you come to the edge of the waters of the Jordan, you shall stand still in the Jordan."
Okay. So we were saying before we got to this paragraph, you were talking about the 2,000 cubits. Don't come within 2,000 cubits.
Yeah, I looked up how long that is.
How long is it?
So 2,000 cubits is a measure.
Right.
It's like a biblical mile. 2,000 cubits is like what the Bible uses. So a cubit is anywhere from like 18 to 24 inches. Like it could be anything. So on average, if it's 21 inches, I blah, blah, blah. It was about 3,000 feet, which is like 0.66 miles. If it's the average.
So I can tell a lady, yo, I'm a third of a cubit. And it's very variable what that means.
That's right. That's very good. That's right. I mean, a third of a cubit.
Yeah, so why would you have to be a biblical mile away from the ark?
You tell us, Scott.
It's radiation.
And sanctify yourselves.
And sanctify.
All right, clean.
More evidence that this is alien technology now.
Clean yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Joshua then said to the Israelites, "Draw near." And here, I don't know Joshua's voice yet because he hasn't had enough action, so I don't know like if he's whiny. I don't know yet,
Yeah.
"Draw near and hear the words of the Lord your God." Joshua said, "By this you shall know that among you is the living God, who without fail will drive out from before you the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, Amorites, and Jebusites. The ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth is going to pass before you into Jordan. So now select 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. When the soles of the feet of the priests who bear the ark of the Lord of all the earth, come to rest in the waters of the waters of the Jordan flowing from above shall be cut off. They shall stand in a single heap."
Yeah. So here's my first comment. The Perizzites.
Those goddamn parasites.
I don't like them because they got the double Z in their name.
Okay.
Do you know the story of the...
Is it parasites, maybe?
It could be whatever. It's the double Z that bothers me, not the pronunciation.
Sure.
So, you know the Verrazano Bridge, right?
Of course.
You know it's always been spelled with one Z.
Okay.
Well, in the last 5 years or so, they discovered Verrazano spelled it with two Z's. So people were like, fuck, we got to change literally every sign in New York City for the Verrazano Bridge. It's going to cost tens of thousands after cost overruns, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I suggested to nobody in particular.
I feel like I've always known that it's two Z's. And
Maybe.
It's always been two Z's.
None of the
signs.
all the signs were one Z. Trust me, all of them.
Serious?
Yes.
Okay.
So now I had suggested instead of like remanufacturing these huge fucking signs, just get like a sticker with like the carrot with the extra Z, and go to every sign and stick it like the Z above the other Z's. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's it makes fun of like it's just funny.
Yeah.
No, they pretty much just finally finished changing every sign to double Z's at untold cost. Yeah. So
there's nothing funny about changing the name of a colonizer, Scott.
Oh, well, that's true too.
Verrazano.
Yeah, they should just change the whole name while they were at it, right?
Hey, what's this? Hey, look at the bridge. They are going to name it after me one day. You think that's what happened when you went down the streets
why would you talk like that? Why are you talking like that? I don't understand.
Verrazano.
Yeah. So what was that voice you were doing? That funny accent?
Italian.
Oh, that's how Italians sound to you?
Yeah.
Oh.
They sound like, hey, they go up and a down and an up and a down and a mamma mia. Oh.
Is that Italians or Mario from Mario Brothers?
He's Italian.
All right.
He's like one of the biggest Italian like heroes in American history. Right? Him.
Verrazano.
LaGuardia. And like Amerigo Vespucci.
Yeah. How come Vespucci doesn't get more credit? Like, isn't that who like America was named after?
Yes.
So what the hell? Why doesn't he get more like we always talk about Christopher Columbus? How come we're never talking about Amerigo Vespucci?
I mean, the whole country's named after Amerigo Vespucci. The United States of America. It's not like our problem that people in this country are so fucking dumb. They think we started after Jesus when actually we started after a cartographer.
Like, I can understand people in Colombia, like, being batshit crazy over Columbus. How come we're not batshit crazy over Amerigo Vespucci?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Well, Vespucci never, like, killed anyone. He just, like, made maps.
Oh, so he was, like, intelligent. He had a trade, like a respectable trade. So,
oh, well, look at this land. I am going to draw. Hey.
Assholes.
Just let me finish up this pasta.
So, wow, dude. He said, so now select 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. Why? Who are these 12 people?
Just people from each tribe.
To do what? They never say what they do. I thought they were the 12 that were going to carry the ark, but the Levites handled that. So who are these 12 people? Why are we choosing them?
Maybe they're going to be the ones, they're going to be the first, like, it's kind of like... It's like selecting the astronauts for the Mercury program and then the Apollo program. You got to select representatives. You know, somebody's got to be the first one to like cross over the Jordan. First Levite.
So they're going to lead their
first
cruise.
Like Reubenite.
Fair enough.
First Danite.
And they might explain it later, but they haven't explained it.
Okay.
By the end of chapter.
So they do all this. The priests bearing the ark are up front. Now the Jordan overflows all its banks throughout the time of harvest. So when those who bore the ark had come to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests bearing the ark were dipped in the edge of the waters flowing from above stood still, rising up in a single heap far off at Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan, while those flowing toward the sea of the Arabah, the Dead Sea, were wholly cut off. So we're talking about like the river has stopped flowing.
This is impressive.
And now there's like a lane that you can cross in front of.
Finally some good shit.
I mean, it's kind of like the Red Sea, right?
Yeah,
like it's a callback to like the Red Sea. It's like God's whipping out his greatest hits, but it's sort of like a remix. Then the people crossed over opposite Jericho. While all Israel were crossing over on dry ground, the priests who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firmly on dry ground in the middle of the Jordan until the entire nation finished crossing over the Jordan. And so they are now in the promised land.
I'll tell you what I like about this. Because somebody probably said, wait a minute, it was the dry season. There wasn't much water flowing in the Jordan. So they specifically point out that this was the harvest season.
Harvest.
So that means the water was flowing. So no, this wasn't some parlor trick. This was a major trick.
By the way, it's not a coincidence that Yahweh has them going in during like the harvest season, right? So like you're going to 1 million Israelites are about to invade this place. It's a perfect time because the harvest is like they're harvesting now, so there's like going to be food for them. Like,
oh God! Imagine they invaded at the wrong time of the year and there was nothing to eat and they all starved to death.
Yahweh knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And in a worst case scenario, he's going to give them enough mana that'll come out their fucking noses. You want some fucking mana? I'll give you some fucking mana. You're hungry? I'm going to give you so much goddamn food.
Then there's a voiceover. Everybody takes a beating sometime. Yeah, so they're fucking in the promised land, huh?
So they officially have crossed over into the promised land.
I want to
Scott.
picture this.
It took us a year to get there.
There's 12 people carrying the ark. Probably 3 on the left in the front, 3 on the right. So you got the 12 people holding the ark. And
You're just fucking. Are you recalling this from Raiders of the Lost Ark and the picture?
Course,
okay,
of course.
That's fair. It was a dramatic scene.
Of course. So now the river is
God.
That's just what the Hebrews thought. So the river's like flowing onto itself. They're standing there. Now they're a mile away. So the people that are actually crossing are biblical a mile away from where the ark is causing this.
So this is what I don't understand now. Where the Israelites are crossing, they're crossing a mile downstream or upstream from
where the ark is doing its shit.
And the river has stopped in both places. Where the ark is and where the Israelites are both, there's no water.
The ark is stopping the water. Mm-hmm. They're 2,000 cubits further downstream, so no, there's no water the whole length.
Okay.
Of it. So this miracle is happening 2,000 cubits away.
Yep.
So maybe the story isn't quite accurate, but maybe it is. I don't know.
It sounds to me like they found an irrigation ditch, where like the river sort of like veers off or stops like for a minute, and like that's where they crossed over.
And you think they said, "This is the mighty Jordan"? It's like Rusty Creek or something, It's like
right.
Horse Piss Creek or
so
something.
If you go to Albuquerque and you see the Rio Grande,
I've been to Albuquerque.
So the Rio Grande in many places is basically the width of this table, and like a foot deep.
Yeah.
Like due to global warming, due to like a million things. But it's the Rio Grande, Ooh, what a grand river. Well, not really.
I've got a nice picture when I was in Albuquerque. I pulled over on the side of a road of like some crazy bridge.
Yeah, I remember that.
I took a picture of me hanging over, looking like I was like, ah.
What was the name of that bridge? That wasn't in Albuquerque. That was like on your way to Taos, I think.
Right. I'm sorry, it was in New Mexico, but I'm pretty sure it was the Rio Grande we were going over.
There was a bridge. We were in Costa Rica a few years ago, and we were on the Pacific coast.
Missionary work?
What's that?
Missionary work?
Missionary work in Costa Rica? Why missionary work?
Is that what you were doing in Costa Rica? Missionary work?
Well, I don't like to advertise my good deeds, Scott. It wasn't missionary work. We were, listen.
Doggy style work?
I don't want to pat myself on the back. We were working with blind children.
Oh, right.
Anybody wants to donate, you can go to our Patreon. It'll go straight to blind kids. No, so there's a bridge on the way to Jaco. So if you're coming from the airport, the main airport in Santo Domingo, I'm sorry, San Juan. San Juan is the capital of Costa Rica.
San Juan?
Like Puerto
Rico? San Juan?
Yes.
Okay.
But this one is in Costa Rica, right?
I got you.
Right.
Two places have the same name?
St. John? Like, who would have thought? Like, St. John would be like a popular name to have.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so San Juan. So on your way to Jaco, which is on the west coast, there's a bridge. It's called Crocodile Bridge. Well, it's funny too because on the highway, it's like a regular highway.
Sounds
like
terrifying.
There's like signs instead of deer crossing. It's alligators. Like it's alligators on the signs, like careful for alligator crossings. So there's a bridge, just like the one that you mentioned on your way to Taos, that's like really high up. and you stop at this bridge, and at the base of the bridge, people are selling chickens. You can buy chickens and throw it off the bridge, and there are like hundreds of fucking crocodiles down in the water below. So it's like a tourist spot. Like people stop their cars, you know, and they like walk into the middle of like the bridge, and there's crocodiles down there.
I had a flood of so many different emotions while you were telling that story.
And what's crazy is a lot of these crocodiles, they go from freshwater into the seawater. So like when you're swimming in the Pacific, a lot of them will come in through like the freshwater and like out into the Pacific. So Costa Rica's I got stung by a stingray in Costa Rica. There were like monkeys on the beach. Like it's like fucking crazy. Like Costa Rica's no joke.
Nice.
But I would recommend it to everybody because it's the most highly educated country in Central America. It's like a good starter country it's a good developing world starter country.
How'd you feel like
we drove
safety-wise?
around. We were like in little like villages we were like the only people on some beaches. Like we drove down like a road for like 2 miles to get to a beach where you park like on the beach, and there's like no one else on the beach.
Was this before COVID?
This was the year after COVID. So 2020.
Okay.
We went in 2022. So 2 years after COVID.
So you would think if those beaches were going to have people on them, they would have had people on them. So
no, these were like not like fancy beaches. These were just like, just regular like off the beaten path beaches.
Well, I asked you, how did you feel safety wise? Because
totally safe.
Americans like to like demonize like any country south of the border. Like it's so dangerous.
We did not feel unsafe anywhere, and we were not like always in like major tourist areas.
Right. What about language difficulties?
Amy can get by. Amy speaks enough Spanish that she can get by, and every once in a while I use Google Translate.
Okay.
So, and a lot of people speak English. And again, it's the most educated Latin American country.
All right. And well, I don't want to go to the place where people are smarter than me, man.
And there's no military there either.
Really?
Yeah, they don't have a military. So it's like it's like a peaceful country. I don't know. Stray dogs everywhere. There's fucking dogs everywhere in Costa Rica.
But are they
just
friendly
around.
stray dogs?
Totally friendly.
Nice.
Totally friendly.
Till it bites your face off.
There is nothing like pulling your car anywhere. Like you pull that shit up like to a rest. Like we were like, can you park here? Like, and it's like, yeah. You can park anywhere.
Just don't be a
park
dick
on
about
the
it, right?
sand. Park like in a restaurant. Like there's no rules. So it's a really cool place. It was a really cool place, and we only like saw like a fraction of that one coastal area. You know what I mean? From our understanding, there's like many other sections of the country with different things to see.
What would you say as far as vacations you've taken to other countries? Like how much? Like was it expensive or was it relatively cheap? Like I'd like to check me out some countries.
So the tourist areas, it's just like anywhere else, because you're there, they're going to charge you. But when you're off the beaten path, it's much cheaper.
Okay.
It's much cheaper off the beaten path. Nice. But I'm going to say this. Not impressed with the food. Was not like a huge fan of Costa Rican food. Ceviche was good, like when it's like warm, you pull off at like a roadside like stand, you grab like a cerveza and like some ceviche and like whatnot. But like in terms of like meals, it was like nothing like great.
I got you. Oh, some Costa Ricans are listening and they challenge us to come down and like give us good food. That'd be awesome.
But I'll always have a warm spot for Costa Rica. It was a very nice place, and I would highly recommend it.
I assume you flew there?
Yes, we flew to Costa Rica. We didn't drive.
How long was the flight? Direct New York to Costa Rica?
On the way back, it was direct. On the way there, it was a layover in like Florida somewhere. So that's it. So we made it to Costa Rica much quicker than the Israelites made it over the Jordan.
Nice.
It took them over 40 years.
So aren't you excited to see like what they're going to do now that they're there?
I am excited to see what happens now. Yes, the establishment of the Jewish state or the Israeli state or the Hebrew state. When do they become Jews?
Maybe they don't. Maybe that's a fabrication of modern day people that call themselves Jewish. They're attaching themselves to this history that they had no part of.
It's possible.
I don't know.
Because we all know Kanye's like the real, like, he can't be an anti-Semite because he's like...
Right. I'm assuming since this is an invasion, we didn't do this before. What if we like keep a death count? Like how many people these people murder? Or at least an estimate of like how many people they murder.
Not Yahweh death count, though. Like
we can say we can attribute it to Yahweh.
Okay.
Let's see if Yahweh shows his face once they're there. Like this is a miracle. This parting of the Jordan, they crossed the Jordan. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll break it down.
We can do that.
You know what? Forget. We'll just say how many people have died going forward, not necessarily who's to blame.
Fair enough. Let's do that. We're gonna start keeping account. You want to like ring a bell every time someone dies? What if there's like 10,000 deaths? Will you ring
10,000 times? Yeah. Maybe. I'm thinking the death on the scale we're going to probably see is we'd have to like one ring would have to be for like at least 5,000 or 10,000. We have to figure it out.
Right.
Maybe we forget the whole bell idea, man.
In fairness, though, I'm gonna say this.
Oh, you're already making apologies for the death they're gonna cause.
That's right.
Okay.
Because we're reading their invasions. We're reading about their invasions, right? So let's say they're gonna attack the Amorites. Yeah. And we're gonna be like, oh, the poor Amorites. But what we didn't see was who was living on that land before the Amorites showed up. Because the Amorites probably did the same shit to get that land.
You've made this argument before, but I'm just saying, like, repeating history doesn't make it right, man.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm just saying no one's an innocent.
All right.
No one's an innocent.
All right.
And on that note, we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Fuckers.